Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're talking about Nikola Pekovic. If you guys aren't following along, we've all heard the rumblings over the last few years since he left the NBA and went back to Montenegro that he was involved with Darko Saric. And this is not Dario Saric's relative. No, this is a criminal overlord. And obviously, if you guys don't know, my grandfather was from Yugoslavia. He was born in Skopje, raised in Belgrade, and then my grandmother's from Italy. My father's from Italy. I do know that, obviously in the former Slavic states, there is still to this day a lot of crime and corruption all throughout them. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts from, especially if anybody lives there, if you have any inside information or just like the local information or perspective. I would love to hear it because people don't realize it's always different for the people who live there and see it every day. So let's break it down. I'm here in Portsmouth. So Nikola Pekovic was basically included in a filing by police that he's linked to a large criminal ring. So the Montenegrin police pulled over an armored BMW X5 in the north of the country and learned it was registered to former NBA player Nikola Pekovic, who they say is linked to a local crime ring. Army Sergeant Boris Dragash was behind the wheel, and he now faces a misdemeanor drug charge after officers found pills and a small amount of marijuana in the car. The BMW was temporarily seized for further investigations. Then wider raids and multiple arrests happened. At the same time, the police coordinated raids at 11 locations across northern Montenegro, targeting people they believe are connected to the organized crime ring. Here's what they found and who was arrested. We have Slobodan Despotovic, Despotovic, and then Sian Dalkic, and Igor Shikulatz, and who did I say? Oh, Malden Zivic, and Asim Ramusovic were, and Danilo Shukevich, I think, are all the people. I'm so bad with those names. So basically, those guys were identified as people of interest, caught with a bag of green plant material was what Shawnad was caught with. And this is insane. Sloban, the first guy I mentioned, he was arrested for illegally owning weapons in his apartment. They recovered an M53 submachine gun and ammo, an anti-aircraft round, parts of a Zatov M57 pistol, and a detonator cap. This motherfucker has bombs. I should. And then the other was Igor. He was seized with a red Ducati, love Ducatis, as its frame number was altered. So it's probably stolen. And Maladin, they face administrative proceedings to permanently confiscate their handguns for breaking Montenegro's weapons laws. And Danilo Soskovic is charged with marijuana and drug citation. But basically, the police are saying this is an ongoing campaign to crack down on organized crime. They charge people with some serious weapon offenses, others with drug violations, seize their vehicles, and even a detector for hidden microphones. And they're doing this to, obviously, in hopes of keeping the area safe. But let's just break down real quickly what do we know about our man Darko Saric and Pekovic. They've supposedly reportedly collaborated on multiple business ventures in Serbia and Montenegro, usually real estate and hospitality. A lot of it, most people allegedly assume that is allegedly fronts for money laundering or facilitating Saric's drug trafficking operations. Such partnerships kind of blur the lines between legitimate business and organized crime. I just want you guys to know, like, that's like way more common than you would think. And then in 2018, Pekovic assumed a $1.15 million debt owed by Saric's brother, Dragan Saric, and that raised just some suspicion. And the Balkans' organized crime groups often rely on interconnected illegal enterprises. Pekovic's actions, debt takeover, just kind of make it seem like there's some sort of maybe staking at least. Pekovic has never been formally convicted of crimes related to Saric. His repeated association with the underworld figures is more so kind of gives you an idea of how, like, in these countries, there's this distorted local economy that's infiltrated by criminals into legitimate sectors, which actually complicates the efforts to combat corruption and illicit finances. And what I mean by that is south of Italy, I believe the government and people who live there on average pay $4 billion a year to mafia, like fee, like bribes is what happens. So to me, I think this is just an example of people finding out that organized crime is way more in abundance than you would think. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm not going to ramble anymore on this one. What do you guys think?